Well, good morning. Welcome to Grandfather's Garage. I'm Grandfather. This YouTube channel is for my three grandkids, Anine, Roland, and Una, good morning kids, who unfortunately live too far away to come over on Saturday mornings and hang out in Grandfather's Garage and mess around with stuff. So this is my way of bringing the garage to them so we can do some projects and share life's little tidbits. We're going to build some stuff, we're going to repair lots of stuff, we're going to do some projects in the yard, we're going to do some fishing trips, and hopefully we're going to take some field trips as well. Also, we can just share some experiences. We're happy to have as many additional grandchildren as like to join us. Come along for the ride. We're happy to have you with us this morning, so let's go find out what we're going to work on in the garage next. Come on, let's go to the garage. Good morning. Wanted to give you an overview of the blueberries. We have 10 blueberry bushes here that we keep and raise. 5 older ones, which you're looking at right there on the left-hand side, and then 5 younger ones over here on the right-hand side. We'll come back and talk about the younger ones in a minute, but I wanted to start with the older ones. These blueberry bushes were bought through the local hardware store. So they're acclimated to this region. They, I'm sure, were probably grown around here, and we just bought them in the pots from the hardware store and stuck them in the ground, and they've done very nicely for us over the last 4 or 5 years. You can see that they're built into a raised bed. Did that because we do live on the water. It is salt water, and it does flood with big heavy storms. So the salt water will come up into the yard, kind of kill out all the grass, or most of the grass anyway. And what we're trying to do by keeping the blueberries up in these beds is keep the roots out of the saltwater intrusion. If we get salt water up into the yard, you can kind of rinse these roots from the top, and the salt water will drain into the bottom and won't do as much damage to the bushes. If they were on the same level as the grass, then the salt water would just be all in that soil. And blueberries do have relatively shallow roots. So anyway, that's why they're up in raised beds, and you can see these are up in raised beds as well. These blueberries were actually ordered from a farm up in the Northeast. I thought we were getting, really interesting, high-producing bushes. And unfortunately, they just have not done well in this climate. I think it's probably a little too hot and a little too dry for them. Just not done nearly as well as the other bushes. I'm hoping, I've got a lot of patience with them, that over the next couple of years they'll catch up a little bit. But I think one of them actually died out, and it might have been that one, and I replaced it with a local bush, and you can see it's doing probably a lot better. These are also sort of my sacrificial bushes. The birds kind of get into these, even though they've got little netting over them. The birds get pretty creative and get hungry, and will wipe out most of the blueberries on these bushes as they ripen. The good news is the other blueberries are in a enclosed cage with netting down all the side, which I put down right as they start to ripen, and so that will keep the birds out of there. Occasionally I'll get a bird finds their way in there. I don't have to go let them out, but that works pretty well for those blueberries. So that's a little bit about the blueberries. We'll get inside the net in a minute and kind of show you how we harvest them and pick them a little bit, because there are a few of them that are starting to ripen up. I was going to tell you about, this particular bush is a white blueberry, and you can see instead of the green like on that bush, they are white. When they ripen up, they sort of turn that pinkish red. Very, very sweet blueberry. All my friends love them, so that's a very popular one out of the blueberries, and they do very well here. So anyway, just something a little unusual with that, and we'll get into the cage in a minute and do a little cleanup. And I think the far bush has got some on it, but it looks like the squirrels might have gotten most of those. Squirrels do get in the cage occasionally and figure it out as well. So, but anyway, it keeps most of them out. When it comes harvest time, we get buckets and buckets of blueberries out of these 5 main bushes, and then a little something out of the other bushes. So So, alright, well, we will talk to you guys in a bit. Alright, good morning. It is June in the garden, and wanted to show you a couple things with the blueberry bushes. The blueberry bushes are all doing quite well, and you can hopefully see the blueberries starting to turn blue, and we've got nice clumps on these bushes. Got lots of them here, but as you can see in there, there's netting. So I wanted to show you a little bit about what we had done. We have this overhead structure that has a harder plastic top on it, so the birds can actually sit on it and not get to the blueberry bushes. And then dropping down to the stone base, and you can see the stones sort of holding the netting, is a very light bird netting. Looks like that, and that goes all the way around all of the bushes, and there are 5 bushes in here. And what that does is that totally keeps the birds out of it, and occasionally I have to go in and rescue one of those guys, but we'll get him out of there. And it's big enough that I can actually walk around inside of it and pick the blueberries when it's time. But you'll see we have lots of clumps of blueberries, and these will all kind of mature very nicely over the season. So those are our big bushes. Those are the blueberries. I'm very excited about those, and when we get ready to pick them, we'll keep you tuned in. Alright, we are in the blueberry cage, and I am kind of at the pink blueberry bush. Just sort of wanted to show you how these things grow, and this is probably a very good cluster. To give you an idea, we have lots of clusters, and the outer blueberries tend to ripen first, and those are these on the outer edge out here, like this one, and I just touched that and it rolled off right in my hand. That is a nice big plump pink sweet blueberry. And so what I will do is I'll come by and just literally kind of roll these outer ones off on my fingers. Sorry, I'm trying to keep the camera and see what I'm doing at the same time. But those, they'll just roll off just like that into my hand, and drop them in a bucket, and just kind of keep working my way around the bush. Leave all of these other ones on because they will ripen over the next couple of weeks. And just again trying to make sure I just get the big juicy ones and put those in the bucket. So that's pretty much how we do it. There's my bucket, and I'll come back and show you after I've kind of spent a few minutes on this bush and see how many we get off. And this is the first time I've come out to this bush to do any harvesting, so it's just getting started for the season, so I'm not going to pick a lot off. I want to leave as many on as I can so they still continue to get nice and ripe. So we'll pick some more blueberries and show you what we did. Alright, again, these are blueberries that are coming off the bushes. It is very, very early in the season. Most of these will not really start to ripen up, or the ones on the bush anyway, until July and August. And that's when I'll pretty much come out here on a weekly basis and I'll get a bucket full, but these were kind of the ones that were on the very end and ripening up nicely. So I just grabbed a handful for us to nibble on, and I will take them inside and wash them out. We just rinse them, and then I roll them dry and put them in the refrigerator until we nibble on them, which is usually about 2 hours after we get them in from outside. So anyway, hope that gives you a little bit of a start on the blueberries, and we'll look forward to seeing you guys soon. Alright, good morning. I kind of wanted to show you what we use to pick the blueberries. We're starting to kind of get into the harvest. It's a little early, but the blueberries are all ripe and jumping. So what I thought I would do is kind of share with you the process real quick. I've got this kind of skinny plastic little tub that I use, and then there's my blueberry collection bucket. And what I do is, and it takes 2 hands, so I can't really show you, but With my left hand, I stick this sort of under the bunch of blueberries that I'm going to be picking on. And let's just see if it giggles it. No, it's not going to stay. But anyway, hold it with that hand. And then at the same time, I will go in and just sort of roll them off like that with my fingers. And what they do is they just drop into, again, just sort of roll them off gently. You kind of pick them and they just come right off, then they're ripe. But what I'll do is have this bucket underneath them, so as I'm picking I can just drop them into this little bucket with two hands. So that's the process I'm going to do, and then when this bucket gets sort of full, I'll dump it into the big red bucket and we'll go from there. So we're going to go pick a bunch of blueberries, and then we'll show you how we clean them when we're all done with that part. Okay, so after maybe 20, maybe 30 minutes of sort of picking through the blueberry bushes sort of the first time round, this will give you an idea of how many we got. There's my big red bucket, so there's a quart or so, maybe 2 quarts in there, something like that. And I tend to look underneath the bottom of the bushes, only pick the biggest ones. But what I'm going to do is fill this bucket full of water. I'm going to rinse them out real good. A lot of the extra leaves and bugs and stuff will float to the top, and I'll just wash those off. And then I will show you how I dry and sort them. So we're going to fill this full of water and show you it rinsed off, and we'll be right back. Alright, these are blueberries. Again, just in a big bucket of water, kind of rinsing them off gently. And then what I'll do is just take big handfuls of them, bring them over. Just going to stack them on the towel over there. Won't make you watch the whole thing, but as I do that, I'll pick through some of the stems and that kind of stuff and get that out. But I'll show you how we roll those out. So we're going to make a big pile of the blueberries over here, and by rolling them out, we'll dry them. So I'll be back in 2 seconds to show you that process. Alright, here's my stack of blueberries sitting on just a dry towel. And what I do is just gently kind of roll them out and roll them across the towel. And as I do that, the nice firm hard ones, which are good blueberries, will sort of dry out. It'll break off most of the stems and just sort of leave the stems laying behind. If not, like that one, we're just going to pick the stem out of it and just flick it over there. But this also will sort of allow me to sort the blueberries, because again, just roll them very gently. There's a leaf. See, that leaf will just kind of, oops, where'd it go? That'll just fall out, kick it off to the side. Pick out all the nice bigger blueberries, and I have 2 buckets up here. All the big nice ones are going to go in that one. The medium-sized smaller ones will probably go in that one. The second bucket is usually the freezer bucket for later in the season. So, and occasionally we'll get some smashed ones and we'll just push them off to the side. But sort of by rolling them out like this, 1, they dry out, and then 2, it helps you sort the larger ones and you can pick out the big ones. So we're going to do a little sorting and show you what we have when we're done. Okay, so that's where we are. That's the smaller stuff, which you can tell is still pretty good size clean blueberries. And these are my larger ones. That's my breakfast for the next week or so. We'll put both of these in the refrigerator and just let them kind of hang out, and they'll last a week or so. The smaller ones, if we don't eat them, which we probably will, because there's only a small kind of medium-sized batch, but those are good-sized tubs. So anyway, that's the blueberries, and do that probably every week now until the bushes run out. So I only try and pick the big ones, let the medium-sized ones stay on until next week, and that'll give us enough for a week or two and maybe some to share. So I hope you enjoyed the blueberries. Hope you learned a little bit, and hope you get inspired to go plant some blueberries. So we'll talk to you guys when we come around to the next project. See you soon. Bye.